Satisfactory is full of quality of life features and multiple ways to complete the same task, depending on how you want to play the game. In today's Satisfactory news video, I'm going to show you 5 Satisfactory tips that you might not know about, but will seem super obvious after you hear them. You'll wonder how you didn't figure them out. From sushi belt tips to powerful blueprints, these ideas could change the way you deal with small parts of this game. Number 1. Fuel is included in blueprints. If you build in a fuel source into a blueprint, it will be included in the blueprint when you build it. This does require you to either carry fuel or upload it to the dimensional depot, though it's easy enough to harvest leaves in a pinch. I always just upload everything, so I've got leaves, biomass, biofuel, packaged fuel, all of the options. Being able to pull out a powered blueprint is often useful, but specifically it's nice to have in your arsenal when exploring, so you can open a crash site that requires power. It doesn't need to be anything fancy either, just a simple cluster of biomass burners with the fuel already inside or in a storage container, so that you don't have to build them one at a time, connect them, and manually fill them. It will save you time when exploring, if nothing else. Number 2. Delete fluids from your inventory? Diagnosing fluid issues usually involves a lot of flushing of pipes, which can take a while and be pretty annoying. But did you know that you can actually delete the liquid in a machine by interacting with it? If you interact with a machine, you can click and drag a fluid stack and move it into the trash bin of your inventory. Why is this useful? Well, if you're still troubleshooting your fluids factory, this can help you reset buildings. No need to build a fluid buffer or another production building to get rid of the water or using the flusher. Just delete the offending fluids and keep on diagnosing. If you're using a recipe that has the same fluid as an input and output, you can also drag around those fluids between the input and output, which could also be useful. Just don't question the mechanics of how this works. It doesn't make a lot of sense that you would manually scoop out the water with your hands, but hey, I guess that's what's happening. Maybe you at least have a bucket? I don't know. Number 3. You don't have to accept hard drive recipes. When scanning hard drives in the MAM, you'll be presented with 2 options to choose from, but sometimes neither recipe really interests you, and you're not sure which one to pick. You kinda just wish that you could set it aside and worry about it later. But actually you can, because what happens when you see the 2 options is that this hard drive is actually added to your hard drive library. As you scan hard drives, they'll be added here and you can select a recipe or re-roll the recipes at any time. If you don't immediately care about either recipe, there actually is an advantage to leaving them be instead of casually accepting one that you don't really plan on using. When a recipe is stored in the library, you can't get it again on a subsequent hard drive. So by holding onto an undesirable hard drive, you're narrowing the pool of possible recipes by 2 and are increasing your chances of getting a recipe that you actually want. So don't just accept a bad recipe just to do it. Number 4. Use smart splitters to sort sushi belt items. It feels bad to be constructing small amounts of a bunch of different items and building a dedicated belt for each one to get them from one distant factory to another. It's a lot of work, but luckily you don't have to do that. If you have a belt that can handle the bandwidth of all of these small items, you can create what's called a sushi belt, which is a single belt that holds multiple types of items. Now this goes against everything that you know and love about Satisfactory for the most part. Mixing items, to a lot of people, sounds like a bad idea and a recipe for disaster. But it's not. Whether you use a single sushi belt or you use a truck or drone to get your items from point A to point B, either way, the end result is the same. It'll end in a single belt full of different items that needs to be sorted out and sent to where they need to go. That's where smart splitters come into play. Along the belt, create a smart splitter and then split off the first item. Then another smart splitter and split off the second item, and so on. This will very simply get the job done, taking away one item at a time off to where it needs to go, and it's easily scalable. You just have to set the center output along the main belt as any undefined, so that anything that is not defined in the other outputs will keep going down the belt and into the next smart splitter. But what you do have to consider though is overflow. With so many intersecting systems, one small error can break the whole thing. The most likely one is that one of these items that you're bringing in starts backing up, and then it's going to back up the entire system. So you can set the third output of each smart splitter to be for overflow. Then if at any point an item backs up, it can go onto the overflow belt, or you can whisk it away to an awesome sink. This is kind of 2 obvious lessons in one: how to use smart splitters on a sushi belt and how you should always have an overflow belt just in case. Seriously, tossing overflow belts onto any critical production line will save you a lot of headaches. Programmable splitters are still mostly useless, but you can use them in these systems to turn one giant sushi belt with a ton of items on it into several smaller and more manageable sushi belts that each have fewer items on them. And you can do this by defining multiple items per output so that it splits them in the way that you desire. Number 5. Using emotes and clapping lights. Alright, this last one is more silly than practical, but bear with me here. Since Satisfactory has co-op capabilities, it should be no surprise that there are emotes. But a lot of players aren't aware of this since the game doesn't explicitly tell you at any point. You'd have to be looking at the list of controls or accidentally press the hotkey, and that hotkey is the T key. Holding T will bring up the emote wheel and you can choose from a variety of different options. All of these emotes, plus even more poses, are also options in the new photo mode, and you can pose your Pioneer with any of these for fun photos. However, the clapping emote actually has a real in-game purpose. You can use it to turn on and off lights that you're near. Do you want to turn on and off your lights? Maybe, maybe not, but it's a feature hidden in the game that I bet plenty of people don't know about. And it makes complete sense when you remember that the devs have a great sense of humor and that clapping lights exist in the real world. So those are 5 Satisfactory tips that seem obvious when you realize them, but I find that plenty of people don't know about, either because these are not explicitly stated in the game or because they require a bit of outside of the box thinking. If you learned something new from this video, let me know how I blew your mind. And if you're a Satisfactory expert and you knew all these already, then how about you share your favorite gameplay tips, smart guy? Let's educate the people in the comments. And if you made it this far, I'd appreciate if you subscribed because YouTube tells me that only around 10% of my viewers are subscribed.